Good evening, morning, afternoon, from wherever you are. I am Tisch McDaniel, founder and CEO of Choose to Win Every Day, and I am a co-author in the book, Life's Checkmark. I have with me here today another co-author, my niece, Lindsay Stadel, and we also have first-time co-authors. Okay. Lindsay, her daughter, is Cassidy Kloth, and we are waiting on my sister from another Mr. Stacie Jones. She's running late, and my brother from another mother, Andrew Lidman. So,
Hello.
so before we start, let me do a shout out to our publisher, Jonathan Emery. And what is so exciting about Jonathan is that the vision of this anthology, and I'm going to pick up my notes so I can read the name correctly, Life's Checkmark, Inspiring Journeys Beyond Life's Expected Path. That is so profound. He started with a podcast and then decided to turn the podcast guests' stories, journeys, their path into an anthology. And on May the 5th, Jonathan had reached 200 episodes of his podcast. And then on June 6th, our book that we are all co-authors in launches on June the 6th. So let's start off. Lindsay, Cassidy, and we will interview Jonathan on Tuesday, May 19th at 5 p.m. Central. And earlier today and yesterday and all throughout yesterday, today, and ongoing through the week, we will be sharing the virtual link for the I just got a note from our guest for the launch. Let me answer her real quick. One second. Okay. So as part of the marketing materials for the book, we all have quotes that were pulled out of our chapter from the front. And I don't want to say from our story, but it's phrases about our journey. And the one from my chapter, I decided I would take ownership of my healing, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Lindsay's quote, I started to understand that my survival wasn't punishment, it was purpose. Cassidy's quote, that was when I learned not every kind of love is safe. And Andrew's quote, and I almost, there's a shovel on the front porch. I almost brought the shovel in for you, brother. Andrew's quote, Andrew's quote, if you ask God to move a mountain, you better be ready to grab a shovel and start moving dirt.
Amen.
Wow, profound. My journey was surviving a near fatal car crash, and I had to take ownership of my recuperation. I was told I would be in a wheelchair, and I said, no, not this redhead. Of course, you'll have to read the book or purchase the book to read more of my journey. Why did I join John's anthology? Being in a community of co-authors, that becomes family, and hence the name. It's a family affair show that we are traveling around virtually doing. It's rewarding watching others. It's rewarding meeting new people like Andrew. It's rewarding to hear their stories and their journeys and how they've overcome and supporting one another. So let me ask real quick, out there in Facebook and YouTube land, how many first-time co-authors are out there? And how many folks are out there thinking about sharing their story? Let me get our guest. One second. It took me 30 years to become a co-author. When you hear other stories that people have shared, we tend to focus more on our recuperation than let's run out and tell everyone. Now, since 2023, after that 30 years of focusing on recuperation and healing, I became a co-author. And as of, let's see, in 4 or 5 months, I will be a co-author in 6 books. And that's once you, and these first-time authors here, once you start talking and sharing and you see what kind of impact you have, then you start sharing more. And Lindsay, she became a co-author in 2024. Since then, she has co-authored 4 books. 2 of them are bestsellers. And she has been featured on over 20 podcasts. Wow.
That's awesome.
I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. I've been on a number of them as well, but it's once you start going, the traction is there and you see how people respond, and that is powerful, powerful. So Lindsay, the mic is yours. I want you to share what your quote means to you in a high-level summary, and why did you join the movement with John?
Sounds good. Thank you. My quote again, I started to understand that my survival wasn't punishment, it was purpose. My survival was surviving a suicide attempt. And for a number of years after my attempt, I lived with shame, with guilt, with regret. And it wasn't until Tisch introduced me to Emilio McDaniel Roman where I realized that my survival wasn't a punishment. I needed to stop seeing it as a burden and start seeing it as a call to help, a call to lead and to help impact others that were going through the same things that I was going through. And so instead of asking myself, why did I go through this? I started telling myself I was meant to go through this for a reason. And my reason is so I can live and be here today and help others. Now, the reason why I joined Jonathan's Life's Checkmark movement was because it represents the same truth that my quote speaks, I believe. Survival isn't random. It's not. We're all alive for a reason. And survival is a call to live with intention and to help others do the same. So I didn't join just to be a part of something. This is going to be something huge. It already is huge. He's already on his 200th episode. I joined because it reflects exactly what I want to teach. Survival isn't random and life is precious.
Wow. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
We have had Stacie join us, so I'm going to admit her in with us. Hello. Good afternoon, Stacie. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you, Tish? I apologize for being late.
Oh, that's okay. That's what life is all about.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yes, it is.
All
Yes, it
right.
is. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Cassidy, Lindsay.
So what I'll do right now is backtrack to what your quote is that the publisher and the project manager have pulled out to describe in a nutshell your journey. So and this is my sister from another Mr. Stacie NJones. So your quote, Stacie, I stopped trying to be someone I was not. I remembered who I had always been, and that, Stacie, is whew, that hits home, I'm sure, for a lot of folks. For a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So now we are going to move into the first time co-authors interviews, and we want to encourage all of you out there in Facebook and YouTube land. We want to encourage you. You have a story. You don't have to be a perfect speaker or a perfect writer. You have a story, and your story is perfect. So Lindsay, let's start talking with our first time co-authors, Cassidy, Stacie, and Andrew. What their woohoo! What their quote from their chapter means to them. Why did they join the movement with Jonathan? And then we will talk about what it's like being a first-time author. So, Lindsay?
Yes.
Cassidy, the mic is yours.
Okay. Um, so like Tish said, of course, if you want to know more about the story, you'll have to buy it, more of the background. But I realized that there came a point in my life where something completely changed the way that I understood love. Um, Not every kind of love is safe. So like my quote says, that's when I realized, not every form of love was safe. And so for a long time, I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought it meant staying and fixing and carrying and enduring. And I confused intensity with intimacy and emotional dependency with connection. If someone needed me deeply, I believe that that meant I mattered deeply. But some of the relationships in my life taught me that love can sometimes look convincing while quietly destroying you from underneath. I learned what it feels like to carry like the emotional weight of other people's pain and to feel responsible for keeping someone else okay. And to stay in situations that were unhealthy because guilt felt stronger than freedom. And eventually I had to face this truth that real love does not require me to abandon myself in order to keep it. That realization to me changed everything because it forced me to step back and redefine what love was entirely. It forced me to take time working on myself and figuring out who I am and what I need without being someone for somebody else. Today, when I think about love, I think about God first. I think about a love that is steady and restorative and safe, a love that doesn't manipulate or threaten or shame or disappear when things get hard. God's love was the first thing that taught me I didn't have to earn my worth through suffering. And then there's my daughter. And becoming her mother healed parts of me that I didn't even know were wounded. And it healed parts of me that I thought were broken forever. The way that she trusts me and the way that she feels safe in my presence and the way that she loves without conditions, it showed me what healthy love actually feels like. That's her below. She taught me that love can be gentle and it can feel peaceful and it can feel safe enough to just finally exhale. And I think that's the difference now, that I no longer believe love is something I'm supposed to survive. It's something that is safe and grounded. And I believe that real love, the kind that's rooted in God and grace and truth, is the very thing that helps us heal. It's something that I finally understand is meant to just feel safe and have no strings attached. So joining Jonathan's book with the convincing of Tisch and my mom, I'm hoping I can help others who feel stuck in those situations and having gone through similar situations as me, and being able to help encourage them that they can get through it and they can find something better.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you, Cassidy.
Thank you.
Stacie,
Wow.
we shared your quote. So tell us what it means to you, a high level summary, but don't tell everything about your journey, because the listeners have to go out and buy the book.
Yeah, they
And
do.
then,
They do.
and then why did you join the movement with John? So the mic is yours.
Well, first of all, Lindsay, so insightful. And you just articulated that just so beautifully and make me want to cry. So thank you for that. Well,
I think you mean Cassidy,
I'm
right?
sorry. Yeah, well, the names, I'm sorry. They were reversed. I'm sorry, but
Yes,
Cassidy.
well, and they sound alike on the phone too. So
Yeah, that doesn't that doesn't help either.
that's okay.
Right. Yeah. But with my particular quote, I stopped trying to be someone I was not and remembered who I had always been. You know, my particular journey speaks about my stroke recovery. I've had 3 strokes since spring of 2022. And my last one was the fall of 2024. So, in that journey, um, I I realized that part of me being someone I was not probably did not help
Mhm.
in me having a stroke. Um, and I remembered who I had always been. Type kind of gives you insight into what I do currently. I am a independent travel agency owner, so I help people realize their travel dreams, and travel dreams do come true. And being able to offer individuals transformation, um, the ability to go to places that they never thought that they could go, uh, visit loved ones that they never thought they could see, and then reset, as an individual, because sometimes you need to change your environment to change who you are.
Mhm.
So I really try to go from daydreaming about a place to an actual destination, and that kind of, I don't know, that quote kind of encompasses everything. The stroke prior to me becoming an independent travel agency owner. And I'm sorry, I'm starting to stutter because I'm excited and I'm nervous and I've had a lot going on. So it kind of triggers that. But then I remembered who I'd always been, and my love for travel kind of plays into that. So it's kind of hard not to give away my entire
No.
chapter on that. But if that's a little, I don't know if I did a good job with a little preview, like, God, what is she talking about? So you'll just have to read it for it to make sense.
Yes. So why did you join the movement with John?
Um, I don't know if there's an actual answer to why. I think that I was called to join the movement. I have a Share Your Journey live that I do every week in my Facebook group, for my travel clients, where I feature individuals that are part of my group just to promote their business, podcast, whatever they're doing. And Jonathan said, yeah, I'm interested. And I was like, flip, wait, hold, stop the script, stop. I'm like, that's like a real live podcaster. Like, you know, because when you're doing lives, you always wish that you could be someone like a Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I'm like he's gonna come like share his journey on my show. Like, oh my gosh. And you know, I was super nervous, and I like scheduled him out, and I remember I had him come on like a half hour before because I'm trying to get all my nerves out. And I'm like, oh, please don't critique my audio and this and that and this and that. Because I look to Jonathan as, I guess, someone that, you know, I like what he was doing as far as sharing people's journey. And that's what I do. I believe travel is not just about where you go. It is how we get there. And so I feel like we had that common thing. So I was just like, oh my gosh. And we met, and he came on my little tiny little Facebook Live once a week. And then we talked more after, and he was telling me what he was going to do. And I said, I have to be a part of it. How can I not? I mean, I just felt that everything that I was doing and everything that he is doing was just in alignment, you know, and I do travel, and I believe that your journey, your life, you are traveling every day that you wake up, you know, and life's journey. So it just, to me, went hand in hand. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in.
That is so awesome. And before we move to Andrew, don't feel so bad about being nervous having Jonathan on. We scheduled an interview with Jonathan, publisher, first out of the gate, and the restream did not work, and we had to reschedule. So it's like, oh my God. So I know how you feel. But all is good. We have him rescheduled to May 19th at 5 p.m. Central. So all is good in the house. All right. Thank you, Stacie. Wow.
You're
Traveling,
welcome.
traveling is a passion of a whole lot of folks. And thank you for bringing that dream to fruition for them. Andrew.
And I appreciate your patience. Thanks so much.
Oh no, but like I said, it's life when you go live. All right, Andrew, the mic is yours.
All right. So my quote: if you ask God to move a mountain, be ready to grab a shovel, moving dirt.
This is Stacie.
You know, that's really where I'm at, I guess, in my life right now. You cannot just pray to God for something and expect him to, you know, just poof and like it's going to appear. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be willing to put in the work, you know, because that's how prayer works. You know, you can't, it's not one-sided. You know, everything in this life is a two-way street. So, you know, if you're asking God, if you're praying for God to move a mountain in your life, then yeah, you need to be ready to get a shovel and a wheelbarrow and start shoveling and moving dirt. You know, like you can't let him do the work. That's not how it works, at least not in my experience. And you know, in my chapter, I speak a little bit more on the spiritual awakening that I've had since I got clean in February of 2024, and really, I guess, a little bit of leading up to that point also. And you know, if you want more in depth, of course, yeah, you need to contact me or any of the other co-authors that are here today, or anybody else in the group that you may know part of this book, and get your copy. You know what I'm saying? Like pre-order it today for sure. But like me, and I'm wearing the shirt here, Dope to Hope. That's really what's passionate about me. Is I've made it back after well over a decade of drug addiction and, you know, a lot of other stuff. And so DOPE stands for Drugs Over Personal Evolution to Helping Other People Evolve. And that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Awesome. Why did you join Jonathan's movement?
Well, I got connected to Jonathan through Stacie, actually. Like she had saw me, I think, in the Be Awesome Network on a group on Facebook, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I would like you to come my Facebook Live and do an interview." So I did that. And then a week or so later, she said, "Hey, I've got somebody else that I think you would like to connect with," and told me about Jonathan and what he's going on and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, sure," And then Jonathan had me as a guest, and after he did my interview, he asked if I wanted to be a part of it because he was moved by my testimony as well. And I was like, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, I've never in my life have I ever thought that I was going to be a co-author in a book or write a book was going to be like a real deal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Like I barely passed English in high school, like all 4 years. So for me to be writing a book that's going to be published and sold like around the world is like, I'm still in awe about that. So, but like he asked me, I would be stupid not to take this opportunity.
Yeah.
I know I've said a couple other times in a couple other interviews, I actually say it in just about every interview like that I've done over the last couple months, is God gave me 2 words and 2 things to work on for this year. And that is networking and opportunity. And I've been doing my best to utilize those words and to really put that into action through the things that I'm doing. And this book is a great way to network, and it's been a way to meet an amazing family that I have now in the Life Checkmark anthology family, and everybody else that I've met along the way, and then I'm going to continue to meet. And the networking that it means for me, it's helping spread my message of dope, and that you can change and that people can change. You got to be able to be willing to put in the work, which again is where my quote comes from. You've got to be willing to put in the work, but if you do, like, change is going to come and you're going to see it. And one day you're going to turn around behind you and be like, "Oh, wow, look how far I've come." You know what I'm saying? And it's really, yeah. So that's kind of,
awesome.
that's why I got involved, because it's something close to my heart, because that's what led me to start sharing my testimony. That's, the first time, like, really, is because I was lucky enough to make it. So I want to be the light for other people, to be able to show them, like, hey, if I did it, you can do it, like,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Well, and I joked with you earlier that there's a shovel on the front porch of the office. I was going to bring it in
you could have
make you
drive
more
the
comfortable.
home.
Right, drive it home. Right. So, Lindsay, let's jump in and do a deep dive conversation with these first-time co-authors. So, the mic is yours, Lindsay.
Okay, you're going to have to give me about 15 seconds because we have a special guest interviewer that I need to bring in real quick.
All right.
So give me just a couple of seconds.
A guest interviewer. Uh-oh.
What's up, baby?
Oh my.
This is Juniper.
Hi,
This
Juniper.
is my
Hello,
granddaughter.
Juniper.
This is
Hello.
Cassidy's daughter. Do you want to ask your mommy a question? Yeah. Can you say what made you? Say what made you become a first time author?
Oh,
Oh, she's going to give her a
Good job.
Good job. Yes, that is my great niece.
She is pretty great.
Yes, she is great. And the kiss at the end was just very special.
She's sweet. Well, I guess as far as becoming a first-time co-author, really it has everything to do with Tisch and my mom. They're the ones that, you know, kind of the journey kind of trickled down from Tisch to mom and then to me, and they both know my story and what I went through with my mom and what was going through at the time. And there's more detail in the book, of course, but they thought that my story was really special and they felt like it would help a lot of people. And it's taken a lot of convincing for me to really feel like it's going to make an impact. And some days I still struggle with it, but they're really the ones that kind of encourage me to do that because they think that it'll help other people. And I really want to try to help people in any way that I can. And if I can try to alleviate or keep somebody from going through what I went through, I would love to be able to do that. I wouldn't change it. I love who I am. It got me to where I am. It got me to be the mother I am and the wife and where I am in my life. So I wouldn't change that in a heartbeat. Do I wish things could have been different at the time? Of course. I was 16 when it all started, and it's not at all what I would want any 16-year-old to go through. But if I could be a rock for somebody going through a situation similar to that, I would love to be able to, have that opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. What was it like reliving some of the toughest moments in your life, especially the ones that I put you through and caused a huge rift in our relationship, unfortunately? Writing it down for the chapter in your book, how did you overcome those obstacles and those feelings?
A lot of prayer, a lot of talking to my therapist. I've had a therapist for many years, several different therapists. I finally have the one who's really made a huge difference in my life. And a lot of just talking to, the most important people in my life and asking them, their thoughts and their opinions. And my biggest worry was my little brother, who was in the situation growing up but never saw it. I had a very motherly role to him a lot of that time. So him not knowing about a lot of that stuff is important to me until he's ready, of course. So, and my daughter and any future kids I may have, getting over that took a lot of convincing. But reliving some of those things was very difficult. To be honest, I wrote the chapter and left it alone for a while, until close to due date, because it's not something I want to think about very often. Mom and I, like she said, it caused a huge rift in our life, and we didn't talk for several years. And I got to a point where I was so upset with her. I didn't want her to meet my kids. I didn't want her to have any point in my life. But through therapy and through God and my husband, being able to see that mom has worked on herself and I was able to work on myself, has made us to the relationship we are. We work together every day now. So our desks are within like 5 feet apart. So this is probably the best relationship we've ever had. So reliving those things was hard. It was hard telling my mom and letting her see really just how much it affected me. Now that she's in a healthy mental state, she can actually see what I went through. It was hard to see her cry. It's never going to be easy for me, but it's really helped us both be able to overcome that and work through it, and it's where we are.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, we do work together every day, Monday through Friday. So sometimes it gets a little much.
Working with family is not for the, let's be honest.
All of the family work together. So, what would you say to someone who's thinking about becoming a first-time co-author, sharing their story? What would be a good plan for them?
I would say Really, first and foremost, if you are a believer of God, pray about it. I really do believe on praying and looking for the sign and, just getting that feeling of this is something I should do or this is something I shouldn't do. I do believe that he knows all, he knows what your path is going to be, and he knows what's best. So, first and foremost, if you're not a believer in that, I would say talk to people who know you, talk to people who know you best, who you trust, and ask them, what their thoughts are and get opinions and ask them if, the story that you have, do you think that this will help others and how can you help me get that journey started? And, um, just really take time to reflect on it. And if that's something that you really want to do, you'll have that enthusiasm and, to pursue it.
Awesome.
Great. Great. Last question real quick. Tell us, is there anything in store for your future as a co-author or speaker?
God only knows.
That's a
I
great
have no
answer.
clue.
And
Nothing planned, but God only knows.
well, and
So he'll tell me.
with Stacie on the line here with us, God will let her know to let you know. All right. So, let's see here. Stacie, when you got your chapter completed and when you submitted it submitted it for Jonathan, not that you submitted it to Jonathan. There's a process in submitting your documentation. How did you feel after you hit that submit button?
That I could now share with the world that I had finally returned to the person that I had always been.
Awesome.
So
You were free.
yes, yeah, definitely. And part of my passion for doing this, because obviously I was on the podcast as well before the anthology, after Jonathan and I had met, is I truly do want to help people. And I was late coming into the call. I have a client that's going on a cruise in 30 days and her ex-husband is dying.
Oh my.
And you all know, I don't know if you know this, 30 days before you cruise, there is 100% cancellation fee, which means my client's $6,000 is going down the drain if I cannot advocate for her to have this cruise rescheduled. Okay. So of course, that's what I do. So I was
that's your
trying
passion.
to.
We understand that. Yes.
And then I just had a phone call in between, and I apologize, Andrew. I have another client getting ready to fly to Italy, but she has a son that is autistic. And the airlines was not being very kind to her in trying to get the seating accommodation.
Wow.
So she asked me to help and advocate for her. So of course, being an agent for, the various airlines, though, I had to take that call. So I apologize. So those are like the behind the scene things that I don't think people realize. And it is very important to me that you have an advocate on the inside on situations like this. Sure, everybody wants to be at that exotic island. I am doing and being what I've always meant to be, how God made me to be. And that advocate in the space, because I love travel so much. It means so much. It's like this is what I was supposed to be doing all my life. It took me 44 years and 3 strokes to get here. I joke with everybody. But as it has been pointed out, God has a tendency of redirecting you. He'll just keep redirecting. Took me 44 years, 3 strokes, but I'm here, and it felt wonderful to hit that submit button because I could finally say, yes, ding, I am exactly where I needed to be.
Well, and I was going to ask you what obstacles presented themselves to you as you were writing the chapter, but it's obstacles in life, period. Because as you said, with your passion to help and support people, and you were doing you were being that servant of God, helping that. So let's just focus just a second on, as you were writing your chapter, as we asked Cassidy the question about reliving those moments. Did you have a moment where you thought, wow, this is really difficult, putting it down on paper, putting these words and reliving feelings?
For me, my chapter is a springboard from my podcast with Jonathan. So a lot of my tears, boo-hooing, like I keep telling him, don't make me cry. And I cried, I think, all the way through the daggone interview. That happened during the podcast. So for me and my chapter, it was my time to rise.
Oh, wow.
It was, the only way I can describe it is Andrew has this awesome picture and he's standing on top of a mountain with his hands like this. And I love it. I tell him I love it all the time. I look at it. And it's when you get to the top of a mountain and you've been through so many valleys and whatnot, and you come to another mountain and you get to that crest and you start seeing, that view. That is what my chapter 11 is about. And 11 for my family is our family number. So it was even more special
Oh, wow.
that I was able to even have that number. It just like everything is like, whew, whew. I mean, my kids, my ex-husband, they're all just like, God, really? Did you just really just do that? I mean, it's just people that know me, and it's just like a full circle. And it's like, boy, this is your time to rise.
Yes,
And
this
that
is
is
your
what
time.
my chapter is about. It's about the rising.
Wow. So one more question.
Yes.
I'm not going to make you cry. I'm glad that Jonathan had you cry throughout his podcast, so that we can actually have some good conversation here.
They're good tears. They're always good tears. They're good tears. That you survived it. So.
Yes. Oh, yes. So what are some words of wisdom, or maybe a plan of action, that would help someone listening, watching this, to get started on their journey, to get started on that sharing and writing?
I think I'm going to take a little bit from all of the people I've spoken to on my my live, is don't be afraid, because there is someone that took that journey before you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just may not know it. And that kind of takes the little sting and the apprehension out of it, because you're not going to be the first, and you certainly won't be the last to take that step. Maybe on your individual journey, but there's always someone that walks something very, very similar, because obviously we are all individuals. So nobody's journey is exactly the same, but there's a lot that people can relate to. And I don't think people pay it or give it enough weight when people post up on Facebook like, can you relate? That is what if this even resonates with you a little bit, maybe perhaps that person's journey might just help you take that little step. And it doesn't have to be a huge step. All it has to do, it could be an inch. That's movement. And as long as you have movement, you'll get there.
So tell us what's in store for your future. I know you do a lot of lives. You are so actively involved. Tell us what's coming up real quick.
Really quick. Well, I am blessed enough to be a part of, obviously, the Guinness Book of World Records attempt in Philadelphia on the 30th of May.
Yay!
So I am very, very blessed to be a part of that. So that's coming up. and then obviously the book launch for
Yes.
what we're talking about now.
June the 6th.
Yes, on the 6th, June the 6th. So I'm happy. I will be on that side of the world. For that book launch. And really, well, just actually, I don't know. A lot of things have changed. I lost my mother 3 weeks ago, yesterday. So my life looks a lot different than it did 3 weeks ago. And all I know is my mom and I talked about my career, and she said, as long as you're happy, do that.
That is it.
That's what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to see the world and help other people see the world as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacie. Wow. All right, Lindsay, you're up.
Okay, Andrew, your turn with the firing squad. No, I'm joking. Andrew, what inspired you to take your first step in sharing your story? Uh-oh, I think he might be frozen. Because he hasn't moved in a couple seconds.
That was such a deep dive, powerful question.
Yeah, he didn't even respond to my firing squad joke. So I kind of had an idea that he might have frozen. Either that or I just stunned him so, so remarkably. There he went.
He dropped off.
Give a couple seconds.
He dropped off.
Yep, I made him mad. He gave up.
Yep. So one thing while we're waiting on Andrew to join back in, that Cassidy said on the interview that we did with Emilio Roman, who wrote the foreword for Life's Checkmark. Cassidy made a comment, which we all have this same thought. Maybe my story's not good enough that anybody would like it or pay attention to it or help them, because we all have those feelings. And so in taking that first step, it's scary, right, Cassidy? Right, Stacie? Right, Lindsay? Right, Tisch?
It is very scary. I think you're certainly on point with that. And I don't believe that I felt that I was worthy enough to write a chapter until I had someone listen and actually say, you realize your story could inspire others to do the same. Do you know how many people that are recovering from strokes feel like they will never be able to get their life back? And I never even looked at it that way. I was boo-hooing about my own daggone life. I was so self-centered about my own struggle and my own, I can't go back to doing the career I used to do. I can't do this anymore. I can't do the zip tie things because of my left hand. I was so consumed with that I didn't think about others. And when someone shifted that point of view, that perspective, and kind of reframed it and said, did you ever think about another person that had a stroke? And they might look at you and say, wow, I can do this. Mm-hmm. So then I started focusing on others, and it changed the perspective. It really, really did. It really did. You kind of come out of yourself and realize what you can do as far as helping another individual. So I know that is the shift that happened for me. I kind of came out of it like, oh, wow. Mm-hmm. How dare I be so self-centered?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, Stacie, because when I jumped out of the moving vehicle, when you want to, of course, you'll have to buy the book to hear my full story, but I suffered what's called a brachial plexus injury, which means my nerves C6, C7, and T1 were violently torn out of my spinal column. So this arm only moves because I've had multiple surgeries, muscle transfers, nerve grafting. My wrist doesn't move at all without my help. My hand doesn't work at all, but excruciating nerve pain all day, every day. Thankfully, that is gone. I did have a surgery at the end of 25 that took care of that nerve pain. Thank you, Jesus. That took care of it. But for the last 8 years, I've been boo-hooing, oh, woe is me, and hiding my arm, trying to, wearing long sleeves even into the summer, because I don't want people to see that I have a deformed arm. And, but then once I met Emilio and Daniela and talked with Tisch about my story, and she convinced me that I had a story that needed to be told. And then Emilio and Daniela said the same thing. That's when I finally got out of my own way and decided that maybe there is some merit to this, because I have 3 people who have been through amazing things, life-changing things, that are telling me that I went through something life-changing and amazing and it needed to be shared. So I got out of my own way, and now I'm here with you beautiful people. And there's Mr. Andrew came back.
I think
Yeah, I'm back.
I thought I made you mad and you decided to leave.
No, it wasn't you. I have no idea what happened. My phone said it was overheating, and it closed everything. So I had to, I have no idea. I've never had that happen before. But whatever.
It was a deep dive hot question that blew up the phone.
It must have been, yes.
I guess so. I have no idea. I was listening to Stacie talk, and then it just went blank, and I was like, "What the?" I was like, "Oh, go figure." The Lord's been testing me all day today and last week, so it just goes right along with everything else. So
let's just carry on like you've been here.
We all had a good chuckle at your expense.
Well, that's good. Hey, that's what I'm good for.
Well, let's jump into the questions for you, Andrew.
All right.
Hopefully this one doesn't freeze you up again. But
yeah.
What inspired you to take your first step in sharing your story?
The fact that, I'm lucky enough to make it out of addiction and to make it back to this side of life. So I feel kind of obligated to share my testimony with other people, because change is possible. We can, and we do recover. I'm living proof, and there are a lot of us out there. So, for that's the main thing. Like I want to be that light in other people's darkness. Like we say a lot in the recovery community, like we recover out loud for those that are still suffering in silence. And that's really what I do and how I try to live my life. I volunteer at the Hope Center, which is a sober living house for men about 15 minutes away. And that's one of the things that I do with them, is I tell them about the things that I get to go do on the weekends and stuff like that. When I celebrated my 2-year anniversary back in February, I took a cake. I had the woman at Food Line actually write "Happy Second Soberversary" on the cake, and I took it and I shared it with them. And I told them, I said, look, when y'all graduate from here in a year or 6 months or whatever, I said, you can be doing this with your family and your friends, or, with your kids or whatever, or you could be coming back to the Hope Center and celebrating with the guys like I'm celebrating with you, because that's a sign of hope. These are the kind of things you have to look forward to in your life if you stick on the path. So that's what makes me want to share my testimony and my story.
Woo. Amazing. Congratulations on 2 years. I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. How important is a circle of influence in your life when overcoming these life challenges?
Let's see. I'm just now starting to find a good circle of friends. Most of this, I've had a couple close friends, and really just both my parents and both of my sons, because my sons are older. My oldest one just finished up his junior year of college, and my youngest one is graduated high school last May. So being able to be open and communicate to them about things, and then just being able to talk about what I'm going through, it's a very important thing. And now that I'm starting to find my own church family that I'm getting settled into after this last month or 6 weeks, that's going to help me grow even more, because they're going to push me to be a better man, be a better Christian, and to, you know what I'm saying, be able to help people more in that sense. And so, you know, and then not only that, but like the people that I'm meeting at Celebrate Recovery and this other men's group that I'm a part of, like that's going to be, it's going to be instrumental in propelling me forward and helping me further my mission and encouraging me to do so.
Mhm.
So
I like that, the way you put that, propelling you forward into, you know, furthering your mission. That's
yeah,
absolutely amazing. I love that thought there, that thought process. Okay, don't want to forget. What plan of action would you share with someone listening today to get started to becoming a first-time co-author?
I've got to kind of go back to, is it Cassidy that said it first? I think your daughter that said, you know, pray about it first. Number one, you know, talk to God about it, and you know, He'll kind of put it in your heart and in your mind, or a gut instinct, a gut feeling, or whatever you want to call it. You know, like as is if you're supposed to do that or not, like because that's something that I've been working on this year, especially is like figuring out and naming, like, what does my voice sound like, what does God's voice sound like, what does the enemy's voice sound like, you know, and like having and praying for the discernment and the wisdom to be able to recognize those three, because that's something that I always struggled with, especially when I was in my addiction, you know what I mean? So like I didn't know what my voice sounded like versus the enemy's voice. Now I do, so I can say no, 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 that's not what Andrew's saying, that's what the enemy's telling me, you know what I'm saying? Like, so and I can bring myself into check. So that would be number one, is to pray about it, give it some thought, some meditation, and see the kind of feelings and the thoughts and stuff that you come away with that. Like anything from God is going to be peaceful and it's going to be free flowing. It's not going to be something you're going to have to force or that you're going to feel like that you have to do it. You know what I mean? It's going to be more of like, I get to do this and it feels right and it feels natural. So, you know, and then talk to other people that are close to you, maybe your kids, your husband, your wife, you know, or like your inner circle of friends, and kind of get their opinions on things like that too, like if you're still unsure about it. So and then other than that, I mean, just if you're scared or nervous or worried about what other people are going to think and stuff, I mean, just do it. You know, like people are way preoccupied with everything else they have going on in their own lives to worry about what you are or are not doing in your life. So, you know, if it's something you want to do and something you're passionate about, then go do it. You know, I mean, quit. You know, we only got one life, and it's took me, you know, 42 years to realize, almost 42 years to realize that. Like, so go do what makes you happy, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, before I wrote my first chapter in the Born to Risk book, I asked my son, who was 15 at the time, I said, what if you have friends that hear about my story and decide to start treating you differently, or decide that they don't want to be your friend anymore? I was concerned for him, not from how people would see me, but for how people would see him. And at his
Yeah.
very wise young age, he said, Mom, if they don't want to be my friend because of a bad mistake that you made, then they don't need to be my friend.
Wow.
That's a very
Amen.
real
Yes.
possibility.
Very, very, very good answer. That was a great response. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's absolutely
yeah,
right. And that's exactly what I would tell my own kids. You know, like if if my son at college, you know, if they saw me on YouTube on one of my interviews that I've done I think 4 this year so far, and I've done a couple last year. Like if they saw one of those and they asked him about it and gave him a hard time about it, you know, then he was like, well, I just don't need to hang out with them anyway. And my youngest one told me the same thing. Like they both think what I'm doing is brave and that I need to do more to do what I'm doing and stuff. So they agree and they understand where I'm coming from. And they also said the same thing. Yeah. Just like your son said, you know, that
yeah.
they're really not my friend if they can't handle that part, you know?
Mhm. I think Cassidy wanted to ask you a quick question, Andrew.
I did. So it's kind of similar to what I was asked, but considering you go on podcasts and you wrote your story, how difficult is it for you as a recovering addict to consistently talk about this story where you were in lowest parts of your life and still have the courage to not go back there?
Wow.
Because I know, because I know what's waiting for me if I do go back, which is the crematorium, and I'm not ready to die yet. You know, there was a point in time not too long ago, just a little over 2 years ago, that I didn't care if I lived or died. I actually thought I would be doing not just myself, but my son, both my boys and my parents and everybody else a favor if I was not here anymore.
Mhm.
So, and you know, we have this thing in recovery, and you probably hear it a lot, especially from program people, you know, like play the tape forward. And I don't have to do that a lot because I already know like what's waiting for me. God showed me if I don't stay in recovery, if I don't stay on this path, that you're going to be dead. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, no question, and no kind of, you know, well, let's just test the waters and see. Like, no, it's certain I will be dead without a shadow of a doubt. So like that keeps me from going back because I don't want any more of that lifestyle. Like it's way too crazy, and I love my life now, you know. And I tell people all the time, like the people at work and stuff, like how I sing out of tune and like just how goofy and free going, free wit, like flowing and the way I am. It's like, why would I want to go back to that? You know, I mean, I love my life, and it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I can look at the man in the mirror and say, I love you, man. You know what I mean? So like that to me is, and that's why I share, because I want people to know, like, you know, yeah, we fuck up a lot, you know, and that's part of life sometimes, you know, but you can change your life. You can turn your life around, and you can make a better, like, we can't go back and change the beginning of our story, right? But we can change how our story ends, you
Mhm.
know, and every day you have that choice, you know, one day or day one, what's it going to be? And I finally chose day one, and it's been hitting. I've just hit the ground running like ever since. And you know, I don't want to go back. And that's why I share my story, is to remind people of their power, and that hey, you can change if you want to. Like you've got to make the decision, and you've got to put in the work. So it doesn't bother me really as much. I mean, there are some things, yeah, that when they surface, um, that I do have to sit with and deal with and learn how to kind of to feel those feelings and then be able to release them, to be able to heal from them. But I mean, once that happens, like it's you know, it's just I leave it in the past where it belongs.
And I think that's great. Like I know, and you've got other people to live for. I know from the
Yeah.
kids' perspective, the last thing I ever wanted was to lose my mom. I don't care how mad I was at her or, you know, how pissed off. Like, I don't want to be without a mom. And
Yep.
I saw, you know, at 16 and, you know, the age that my brother is at now is the age that I started going through that with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost friends because of that. I had people who judged me because of who my mom was. They thought I was the same way. You know, people were embarrassed to be seen around me. And so that's a very real, you know, thought to have. And I'm glad that, you know, she asked him that because it happens. It happened to me. And
Yep.
I will say, you know, that the thoughts that you had as far as not wanting to be alive some days and you didn't matter to you. Mom has made that same comment. I've gone through that part in my life. And, you know, something I told my mom was that I don't want you gone because one, I need my mom no matter what. Two, I can't replace you. Nobody
Yep.
can.
Yep.
And three, look at everything you would have missed. She would have missed me graduating high school. She would have missed my brother getting his driver's license. She would have missed my daughter. She would have missed all of this. And so you
Yep.
got to remember, like, it might be rough right now, but you can, like you said, you can change it and turn it around, and things can be so much better if you surround yourself with the people that are there for you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes.
My last question for you is, what is in store for your future as a co-author and or speaker? Or do you know yet?
Um, I mean, and just like just like Cassidy said, I mean, that's up to God, like I'm just putting myself in the positions, like he gives me opportunities and I take advantage of them, like I did with the interview with Stacie, like I did with the interview with John, when John asked me to be a part of the book. Like, if God's putting something in front of me, then I'm going to take the opportunity, and I'm going to seize that opportunity, and I'm going to run with it, and just see what happens. Like with the recovery event I was talking about before we started, that's at the end of this month in Louisville, Kentucky. Like, I'm taking my shirts, I'm taking some brochures and stuff about my recovery coaching and life coaching and stuff, and I'm going to spread the message of Dope to Hope and my testimony a little bit, and be able to network and meet all these other people, and spread my brand. And then whatever happens after that. And the same thing with this book. I mean, I know it's got the potential is there to be able to help a lot of people, and that's what I want to do, because I made it out, like I've said before. So I want to be able to help other people find their way out too.
I want to get one of those
So,
shirts.
I do have one of those shirts too.
Send me your
I'll
address.
contact you on Facebook.
Yeah, that's fine. Please do it. And yeah, anybody else that I have a Shopify, and I can put that link. I'll send y'all that too, also. So for anybody else, but for y'all, yeah, you send me your
I'm
info,
gonna
and
get it done here in
we'll
just a
get you
second.
one. We'll do it. All right.
And for everyone listening, so Facebook, look up Andrew Lidman, Lidman,
Yes.
and looking
You
at,
can look me up on YouTube as well. Yes.
okay. And Stacie Jones is Stacie, as in, I'll just say Nancy, since I don't know what the N stands for, Jones. And then, of course, me, Tisch, Tisch, McDaniel, Cassidy Kloth, Kloth, and Lindsay, Lindsay, Stadel, Stadel. And let me throw out also Emilio Roman, who is a publisher, and he wrote the foreword for Jonathan's book. He speaks a lot about proximity. And Andrew, you hit the nail on the head. Stacie, you hit the nail on the head. Cassidy and Lindsay, all of us hitting the nail on the head, because it's about networking and it's about the opportunities. So if you would like to reach out to Emilio Roman, he is on Facebook a lot. And then also Jonathan Emery, if you are interested in becoming a co-author. And Jonathan also has a production manager working on the Life's Checkmark, and that's Giselle Quintanilla. And she also she has a writing service, ghost writing service, to help those who need help. So with all of that, we've gone through all of our marketing, all of our ads, all of our stories, all of our quotes, real stories, real healing, real impact. That's what we are about, right, guys and gals?
Yes, ma'am.
So the book launch, June the 6th at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. Hyperlink has been shared on Facebook a lot. Thank you, everyone. Any last comments, thoughts? Stacie, God bless you for being late and choosing to help your person. God bless you for that. And taking the call. God bless you.
Well, thank you. And I apologize. I didn't mean to be disrespectful, but
no, you were not at all. You were not at all. Life happens and we pivot, and so glad that you could come on and share with us. Any last thoughts, anyone?
Well, thank you, Tisch, for hosting this and putting everything together. And I appreciate you, Cassidy and Lindsay. Andrew, of course, I love seeing you over and over again. That
Yes,
gold.
thank you.
Because that's how it's kind of full circle with Andrew and I.
Yep, for sure.
So, yeah, I definitely appreciate this. And proximity is power. And, sometimes you just need to to listen, because like Andrew said, sometimes that opportunity is right there, not seeing an obstacle, you can see an opportunity. So, you know, to just seize it. So
Cassidy and Lindsay, any final words?
I'd like to leave not the quote that I talked about today, but the quote that I made into t-shirts. You are enough. No more proving, no more pretending, just unapologetically you.
Wow.
love it.
Yes. I
Wow.
love that.
Wow. And
Andrew, do you have any final words?
I wanted to say thank you for putting this together. Thank you for inviting me on, because I enjoy it. Like, I like to talk about all this kind of stuff, and I love to be able to promote the book too. So yeah, definitely thank you for having me on. I enjoyed it. Stacie, it was good to see you again. I'm still praying for you, my friend. And yeah, so I hope you got to enjoy your day yesterday, even though I knew, like I told you in my message, it was probably a roller coaster of emotions, but you know.
well, and
So
if I could sing, I would sing Sly and the Family Stone. We are family.
yeah, there you go.
Wow.
That's it.
Got my
We are, in
brothers
one
and
way, shape, or
sisters with
form.
me.
Yes. Yeah.
Get it, Tisch.
And that's exactly what Kara and I were talking about at the end of our live the other day on Saturday when we did it. Was, you know, like we're all interconnected, and we're all in this family now, and that's like a really beautiful thing. You know, we're born with one family, but then the other family that we choose, like as we grow through life, you know, is something completely different, and it's really beautiful to be a part of something like this. So
Yes, it is. Thank you. And thank you to everyone out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. Just reach out and we appreciate you. And thank you again, Cassidy, Lindsay, Junie. Thank you. Stacie, Andrew. We've got a co-author in the works. All right. Have a great rest of your day, evening, or morning, depending upon where you are joining from. Thank you, everyone.
see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.